everybody. I'm Maddie.
I'm Austin.
And we are from the Will This Be on the Test podcast.
This is a podcast where real medical professionals discuss fake medical emergencies.
That means that unless you've been killed by a Death Eater, or worse, expelled, this podcast is not medical advice.
If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackson Vane.
I'm Johnny Kolosinski. You might remember me from such podcasts as A Million Ways to Preschool, a podcast on early childhood education that I do with guys from OK Go.
Nope.
This is Hi, Everybody, a Bad Medicine podcast. Every week we talk about what Hollywood gets right and wrong about medicine and how the body works.
Hard nope. No. That was terrible.
Dr. Jackson Vane, what are we talking about this week?
So, I thought we'd do something a little more recent because we've been really wanting to watch this movie for a while. So we're doing Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah. It is possibly the best movie based on a series of car theft films that is all about genetic manipulation and world disease.
Yes.
That's been made this year.
I thought it was a movie about family.
It is really. It's about Ohana. And Ohana means family, and family means The Rock is awesome.
Yes. So it's actually, this movie is ridiculous in all the best ways possible.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it a lot. We're going to pick it apart, and I think we both agree that this movie was perfect.
Yes. I don't care how cheesy it is and how people feel about the Fast and the Furious, but this movie is fantastic.
Yeah. Highly recommend it. It's available on all sorts of all the paid services right now.
Yeah, it's on digital right now.
So what is it that drew you into Hobbs and Shaw, other than us seeing the trailer back when I think we were seeing Endgame or Spider-Man? It was awesome. Yeah.
I think it's all because it's based on this programmable super virus, the CT-17 virus, or codenamed Snowflake, created to weed out the weakest of people, because this was Etion, which is the shadow organization's ultimate plan to weed out the weak.
Right. It's very bad understanding of Darwinism.
Yes. Because they felt, they explained a lot of it as, humans are ruining the earth, and then by culling the population, it's gonna basically make it better. So that's why it tied in really well to Avengers Endgame too, is because it's the same exact premise, except spoiler alert, they don't Thanos it.
Yeah. They fail.
And I think Ryan Reynolds explained it best how the thing worked. I don't know if you remembered how it killed you.
It basically it jellifies your insides.
It liquefies your internal organs, is what he says. And there's only one way you can actually liquefy your internal organs, at least.
Well, they're still internal.
Yes. There's actually, I should take it back. There's a few ways, but there's one only biologic way that I can think of. Mm-hmm. But you have to be dead already to do that. So it's called putrefaction. So it's basically when your intestines, all the stuff that has been held tight by your intestinal walls, finally leak out. And that's what liquefies your insides.
Okay, and that will happen as you decompose.
Correct. But you don't really do that. I don't think there's any disease that I know of that can cause that, unless you had some kind of infection that's seeded deeper in and cause like gas gangrene or something like that.
So something that would cause your gut biome to be outside of your gut.
Outside of your gut, yeah. So I think Greg talked about this before, that we are essentially just a tube. Mm-hmm. And when we eat something, it technically is outside of your body. Right. And most of your immune system is in your gut, trying to keep all that outside from going inside the tube.
Yeah. Time is a flat circle, and we are
a tube.
A tube.
A very complicated tube. And that's what's trying to keep us all inside.
Yeah. We're a walking donut.
I mean, essentially, you are. Well, I don't know what the other thing would be. Like
a churro with a hole in it?
Yeah. I mean, you're probably more of a churro than...
We're a walking eclair.
Yeah, that's probably better, because the stuff inside of an eclair kind of fits with what you kind of are at that point. So that's how the thing works, and it works through, I think they said it's a programmable virus that can target any DNA sequence out there.
Yeah, and my understanding is what that meant, that if it was programmed right, it would only target...
weak people,
but weak people, or middle-aged white guys, or whatever parameters they set. Because when I first heard it, I thought they were using it as an assassination tool, and it would target,
certain people,
Steve Smith.
Yeah, but it just says it targets any DNA sequence as if you're weak. Mm-hmm. But would Idris Elba, who got all this like biomechanical enhancement,
which I want to talk about because I want that.
Would him getting all that enhancements change his DNA enough to make him not weak?
That's a great question. That's a moral philosophy question.
It is. I mean, it's hard to say what they were trying to qualify as weak, but also them designing a quote-unquote virus to do that. Yes, viruses can take apart. Like, viruses do hijack parts of your DNA to replicate, but it doesn't hijack your DNA and change it essentially to the core to make you sick.
Right.
I mean, that's not how it works.
It makes you sick because it's hijacking your DNA.
It's hijacking your DNA, making more of itself, and then the immune response is what makes you sick.
Okay.
And what it kind of sounds like is it almost sounds like a form of CRISPR. Mm-hmm. Like, have you heard of CRISPR?
Yeah, CRISPR is basically the DNA resequencing to essentially fix. My understanding is, and tell me if I'm wrong, it's to essentially fix DNA issues.
So it's a way to do it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a broad term because CRISPR really refers to like a sequence of DNA that can be inserted. Mm-hmm. But also CRISPR is what's recognized by certain enzymes to attach that DNA sequence into the body. And I know people were trying to sell it like home kits and stuff like that. You can't really hijack an E. coli bacteria, which is where most of the CRISPR comes from, or the basis of it, and then using that to hijack your DNA.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that part.
Yeah. So that's actually how they first diagnosed or discovered it, because that's how they were using... They found in that bacteria that it was creating resistance to certain medications and stuff like that. So then kind of...
Oh, so they targeted the resistance and then realized, wait, we can just futz with everything.
Kind of futz and go back.
We're futzing with this resistance.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that CRISPR works. And so when I saw that, I'm like, is this like a CRISPR kind of situation? Is it a prion situation? But I don't think it's a prion situation.
Prions are like mad-cow disease. Correct. They're parasites as opposed to...
It's a protein.
Okay.
It's just a protein. That's wild. That's an infectious type of protein. That's why you can't burn it away sometimes too. It's highly contagious. It doesn't work like a virus. It does not work like bacteria. It's just a rogue protein that messes your brain up.
Huh.
So that's why I was like, is it a prion too? Because that can hijack stuff, but it doesn't hijack in the same way. So I was trying to think what would be like the contagious way of it. Kind of going back to the thing, Vanessa Kirby, I think she plays like Hattie Shaw.
Hattie Shaw.
Yeah. Injects herself in the virus and it just takes to her immediately. But you see all these little, like almost barrels covering a potential virus into her bloodstream.
Yeah, like you see Tylenol gel caps floating through her bloodstream almost.
Yeah, and you would think, they said it would stay in her system for 40 hours and the capsules would dissolve. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways that it could be filtered out of your blood before it can do that. Like your kidneys and your liver are in charge of filtering out all that blood. So it's probably going to accumulate in her liver and eventually just exit the body. It doesn't stay in the body. Especially if it's the body recognizes it as something foreign, things would be attacking it already. It would be filtered out too, because those look bigger than other things.
So how often does your blood circulate through your body? Like how long would it take for your kidneys and liver to clean all your blood?
So it depends on a number of factors, like how fast is your heart beating, how much circulating volume do you have, and how well do your organs really work. But it's estimated on average, and I had to look this up, the blood goes through your system nearly 6 quarts per minute.
Okay.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Think of like going to the store and buying a quart of milk or something like that. It just constantly cycling through your body. So each time it cycles through, it doesn't filter out everything 100%.
But it's going through. It's going through every bit of blood in your body is going through your filtration systems. Dozens of times a day.
Yeah. So at some point, all that impurity should be caught. That's why when you do dialysis, it takes hours. It's not just like, oh, here we go, one pass.
It's not a single filter system like your Brita.
But also, it's not just one path in your body, right? Like, blood's going to go to your heart. Blood's going to go to your brain. Blood's eventually going to make it to your kidney. Like, all circulation, it's not just one highway. There's many off-ramps the blood can take before going back into the main road and then recycling again. So at some point, it'll enter the sanitation path, I guess, if you want to refer to that. And eventually, that's when it cleans your blood. But, I mean, if you think about it, it's 2,000 gallons a day.
Right.
Cycling through everything.
And I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure there are less than 2,000 gallons of blood in me.
Yes. You have about, I believe it's 5 quarts. Let me double check. No, it's 5 liters, sorry. I think that is how much blood you have inside of you. So it's not that much. Yeah. Constantly cycling through. And it doesn't seem like that much, but your heart's working overtime and really trying to get everything through.
So the actual solution to this movie would be Hattie would poop out this virus and end the movie. Or pee out this virus.
Or pee out this virus. It might sting a little bit because those things look
they're
pretty big. Yeah. Peeing out little barrels constantly sounds painful. I mean, that also sounds like an STD too. Kind of. So that isn't, it's not that great on that part. Idris Elba is the big baddie in this one. Yeah. He's like a superhuman.
Idris Elba plays
Black Superman.
He plays Black Superman, which I love. Love that set of jokes. But he did basically the same character in Star Trek Beyond, where he was a guy who was all about the Federation and then got left behind and became a half human, half, in this case, like Jello.
Yeah, he bought into the cult.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what he wanted to be. And that's why he became a superhuman. And I mean, there are some biomodifications in life, like, or at least that currently exist. Yeah. Like your eye.
Yeah, like my glass eye, like your glasses.
Yes. But then there's also other things that make you slightly stronger, like, but they're all external. They're not like nanotechnology that they're showing in this future black tech blood ops kind of situation, which is what they referred this to.
Yep. He got to the point where they completely replaced his spine and they were cutting down his back like it was a slab of meat so that their robots could work on his spine.
And then they just buttoned him back up.
Yeah.
Was what I saw too. And I don't think you can survive something like that.
Being
obviously.
Zipped and unzipped repeatedly.
Yeah, it's infection. Like, honestly, that's the number one concern is you get cut open that many times, your risk of infection is super, super high.
It happened at least twice in 40 hours.
Yes. Terrible. But yeah, that's pretty much like the worst part there. And then I have so many ridiculous notes about this. Idris Elba's fight falling down the building, and then everyone I think him and The Rock go through a glass window.
Him and The Rock go through a glass window. We did see. So one of my first notes on this one was The Rock takes a glass bottle to the face.
Yes.
So he obviously didn't have nearly enough damage to his face for having taken a glass bottle to the face. But they at least gave him a bruise the rest of the movie.
But so did Vanessa Kirby. She was pretty banged up. I mean, timing-wise, because it happened under 40 hours?
Right.
We know it's under 40 hours because 40 hours is when the capsules burst.
Right.
So, but everyone still had all their battle scars from the beginning of the movie. And everyone was so not sore from anything.
Yeah, but that's...
I mean, it's The Rock. He's the strongest man in the world. I mean, he grabbed someone... He grabbed Vanessa Kirby. No.
He grabbed
someone.
He grabbed this random biker guy
off of a speeding. Like he was in a speeding car and grabbed him off of a motorcycle.
A motorcycle going the other way.
Yeah, like his arm should explode off. I mean, there were 2 specific instances where his arm should have exploded off. That, and then towards the end of the movie when
he was holding a helicopter by a chain,
and his other arm to the truck. Yeah, and then reattaching the chain to the winch. Yeah, his arm should have ripped off. I don't care how strong you are. Doing a Hercules hold of that caliber, his arm should be just completely shattered.
So what you're saying is this was set in the Matrix?
It's set in the Matrix or in the world of Transformers.
Well, we did hear that the Idris Elba had a
Transformers bike
with the Transformers sound effect.
Threw me off so much, and I forgot what movie I was watching just because of that one. But yeah, I don't understand how there was very little blood in this movie. I get it; it's PG-13. There shouldn't be that much blood, but people took big old hits. Yeah, and no one was bleeding at all.
Right. Yeah. Them going through the glass there. The bottle to the face, like we talked about.
Speaking of bottles to the face, what about the one champagne KO instead of the one punch KO? The one champagne.
I liked that quite a bit. I thought the bottle would break,
and then it just shattered so lightly.
Well, champagne bottles have to be
under
thicker
pressure
than wine bottles because they're under pressure. So,
but yeah, that would do some serious damage, and everyone got punched in the throat.
Yes,
all movie
and tasered in the throat.
Tasered in the throat, punched in the throat. Tasered in the throat doesn't change anything. Like you get shocked, you get shocked.
Okay.
Period. End of story. You get shocked anywhere, you're gonna tense up, you're gonna go down. Like even during the scene where they were sitting in the chair getting interrogated by Idris Elba, all that shocking, it's all the same reaction. Getting punched in the throat, however, totally different reaction. It depends where you punch him, obviously, too. And it's not so much the direct impact, it's the sequela to it that's going to really affect you. So
because when your throat swells,
then you got issues. Yeah, because like I'll get patients that get hit in the throat with a baseball, and initially we're like, oh, whatever, you're fine. But we know a couple hours later it's going to be an emergency
because you haven't done anything to stop the swelling in advance.
Yeah, and if you have, and it's really hard to stop the swelling in advance too, because you can't really put an ice pack
around someone's throat.
Correct. You're going to drop their temperature because your carotids are there. A. B. That's not really going to get to the part that you need to reduce the swelling of. So a perfect hit there can potentially get you later.
Interesting.
Just end you at that point. But it's enough of a shock that just makes you go like, oh my God, I can't believe I got punched in the throat, but you're not going to go down. You're going to be really stunned most of the time.
What about the taser shotgun we saw
in the beginning?
In the very beginning.
I mean, I don't know if we have like taser guns. But...
Yeah, but taser guns are attached to
the battery.
Yeah, they're attached to the battery. They're strings.
We're not like a crowd control podcast, but
not yet.
But I assume it would still work the same way. You still need some kind of barb to get into the skin so it sticks to you, and then enough of a shock that it will shut you down. I don't think we have anything that strong yet, honestly, but I don't know.
I was just thinking that the impact from the shotgun would likely be worse than the tasering.
Potentially, but then that also comes to another question: is if you do need barbs in it and you're firing a shotgun at that much power, will the barbs just go straight through you?
Yeah,
and then you have a new host of issues on that part.
Or it's like birdshot, but how many different strings do they have?
Yes, and then it goes from less than lethal to that's pretty lethal, because then you get a perfect shot and you're done at that point. Can I say my favorite line in this movie? And
absolutely,
it's genocide schmenocide.
Yeah, that's one that we're not naming this episode.
Why not? I mean, that was the mention of that whole. They were specifically saying they were going to kill off all the weak people, and Idris Elba just very casually walked by and just said, "Genocide, you're committing genocide," and he just goes, "Genocide schmenocide."
Yeah, just
tosses it aside, and that line made me so happy, mainly because. He went into full super villain at that moment.
He did.
Yeah.
That, and he had a super villain laugh.
He did. But he only did it once, towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He could have done it much, much more.
Want to go back to the escape scene with the slowest explosion in the history of explosions.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Statham, Hobbs, or Shaw. He's Shaw. Shaw and Hattie Shaw, his sister, were riding around in an open Jeep, and at one point he says, "Hold on," or "Brace yourself."
Yeah,
and so she braces herself, and she's holding on to the roll bars and flying in and out of the car.
Yeah, constantly in and out.
What would the actual human response be to "I'm going to hold on to something and not be strapped in at all"?
I'm gonna say this. I mean, she will go in and out, but like the landing from that one. She's not going to be able to hold on to that unless she has like the strongest grip in the world. She's going to damage something guaranteed on that part. And then the landing itself, I mean, like it's a saying in medicine and I think in general too. It's not the fall that kills you; it's the landing.
Right.
And that landing is going to get them for sure. This is almost like a superhero movie with just ridiculous physics all in general. Like I can't believe we're dissecting it just because of how ridiculous this movie is. But yeah, she wouldn't be alive. Neither would Jason Statham, for that matter.
Yeah. We did learn that Jason Statham is 51.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It means I still have time.
You can still get to Statham levels.
I can.
Yeah. And then I think if you go towards the end of the movie, they do the whole... So the whole plan, I guess it turned into, let's get the virus out of her movie. So then they spend a lot of time trying to get it out because they even said once she's infected proper, she becomes she becomes very contagious and then it goes airborne.
Right.
Like measles kind of thing. And I'm guessing she'll probably start coughing and all that stuff. And while she's coughing, every cough makes her organs kind of melt away. But they spend a good amount of the movie trying to find almost what looks like or what they said, like a filtering machine to get the virus out of her body.
Which was basically a dialysis machine.
Yeah, it is a dialysis machine. It's just very portable. I don't think we have a portable dialysis machine yet. I think the smallest one can be done inside of your house, but it definitely doesn't work in 30 minutes, I think is how much time they said it would take to get all the blood out, right? But they kind of just put it in some indiscriminate vein in her arm. They just slapped it on, and then you just saw, hey, a tiny needle goes in, and then that needle started...
at least at the right angle.
Yes, at least at the correct angle. But then, if you think about it, when they put it into her arm, that cavity, if you think about a needle being the tip of a pen, that means the vein is the size of almost like a beer can in relationship.
Okay.
So if a pen is the size of a vein, that needle that went into her arm, the thing around it was the size of a beer can.
Okay.
So that's the biggest vein you can find magically just into there. The other thing is when it was sucking up to go through the filter machine, it was only sucking up the virus.
Yeah.
Not the blood or anything like that. So it's the smartest vacuum ever too. I don't know how they picked the vein and all that stuff too, but yeah, anatomically that makes no sense. The other part too is usually if you do dialysis on a person, we actually take your artery and put it next to a vein and then kind of we make it a fistula so they're connected so that the vein actually gets fatter and fatter because the volume that you need to filter the blood is so high that it can actually burst all the vessels.
Okay.
So in this situation, if she had it on jumping around and whatnot, she probably bursted a bunch of vessels doing that stuff too.
So she's in bad shape whether or not virus got filtered.
Correct. I mean, she was jumping around. She was in a plane crash. Sorry, helicopter crash.
Helicopter crash.
She was jumping around fighting people with this thing in her arm and a backpack.
And a backpack of an iPad.
Yeah. And trying not to have that all explode or anything like that. The other crazy part too is they filtered it all into a glass vial. While they were fighting all that stuff. Let's pick the most fragile thing possible to put a deadly virus into and then just run around and gallivant throughout the whole back islands of Samoa.
Well, if they put it into a titanium can, there would have been no way for us to see that the virus is also glowing.
They could have done it like in Resident Evil. The T-virus was in a titanium case with a little glass window.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That would have looked nicer. And probably a little safer, too. But also, I forgot to mention, too, if you're getting that much dialysis, you're not going to have that much energy. You know, your blood, so half of your blood or a good portion of your blood is being
diverted into your backpack.
Yeah. So you don't have that energy.
Half of your blood is in your iPad at any point in time.
Exactly. So you have nothing carrying the oxygen to your organs. So there's no way you can fight at all. And she was full on clubbing people and then put one guy into like a chokehold and all that stuff.
Yeah, did a sleeper hold on somebody.
There were so many wrestling moves.
There were so well.
I know
it had The Rock,
and Roman Reigns. I know.
Did Roman Reigns even like?
He said nothing.
He said nothing, and he was generally behind someone else
and angry.
Well, he was Roman Reigns.
Yes, but he was going around like spearing people, doing all sorts of wrestling moves that I just kept calling out every time I saw it. Like that whole last battle scene was just basically WrestleMania 34. Last year's WrestleMania, not this year's. That's what it felt like to me.
I have my notes. Just cyborgs in general? Question mark.
Okay.
That's all.
Cyborgs?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a big fan.
I'm a big fan of cyborgs. I just think it's kind of... I don't know. They made them... Normally I'm a big fan, but they made him just like this invincible enemy building up.
They made him the Terminator from the beginning.
And then they just broke him down to the power of teamwork.
Yeah.
That's essentially how he died, was teamwork.
Right. The moral of this story is that maybe the real evolution of humanity is the friends we made along the way.
God. And family.
And family.
And I don't get how he was such a superhuman that he can punch people, lift up a car, throw motorcycles at people, but he got succumbed to like a rock headbutt and a couple punches from Statham.
Yep.
Like, they were normal punches, too. Like, the whole movie, he was this invincible monster, stopping bullets with his hand and whatnot. End of the movie, nope.
Yep.
Family.
Yep.
Punch, knockout.
Friendship is the real superpower.
That is all we've learned in this movie, and it's a great message. I still think people should watch this movie. It's great.
We loved this movie.
I can't believe how many times I wrote, there's another throat punch. It's all throat punches. This movie is more throat punches than I've seen in any other movie. Even like that one scene where he was, Statham was fighting down the corridor of a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Throat punch.
Throat taser.
Throat punch. So many throat tasers too. That was all that battle was. They should have just called, like, Hobbs and Shaw and the Battle of the Throat Punch is all this movie is. But I enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Human Centipede.
Oh, God.
Bills itself as 100% medically accurate.
Oh, God.
If that is true, how medically accurate is Hobbs and Shaw? A Fast and the Furious story.
You mean Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw?
Fast and the Furious saga.
I mean, this is going to be a whole Fast universe, so I'm really excited. Probably, like, it's not accurate, but we don't know what the world of Black Tech and Blood Ops holds for us
yet.
But I would probably say like 40.
Okay.
It's not accurate at all. Like, we are not watching this movie just for medical accuracy. There's things that definitely could be made better, or just to bring up the stakes, but we're not watching this for medical accuracy. We're watching it because this movie is fantastic.
Yes. How would you make it more medically accurate other than,
Stop throat punching.
Stop throat punching.
I mean, it works, but it doesn't end people. I mean, at least this movie doesn't fall trope to the one punch KO that we see all the time.
Yeah,
the
only one punch KOs we saw were on Hobbs and Shaw. And they were...
Correct.
And they weren't even punches, they were rifle butts.
Yes, but there was also one other one punch KO. It was that same battle where he was going... Shaw was going down the aisle with a bunch of people. Hobbs only had that really, really big guy, and that guy got one punched. But that was like the really only other like feeling of one punch in that whole thing. But I do like that they made The Rock kind of groggy, but then he snapped out of it so quickly. We don't know how long he was out for or anything like that, but apparently out long enough to put him in the most elaborate like neck noose and chain thing at the same time with like electric tasers ?
Yeah, were the chains being like...
I have no idea.
Current running.
And I don't know why they kept on saying, oh, normal people can only... I don't think you can withstand 5 cycles of the shock. The volts are what's killing them. It's the watts. Like, or that's really
the amperage is what?
The amps, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what's going to get them. But like, they were getting shocked like crazy and they were fine. It's just like getting a taser. It's just going to not feel good. But as long as it doesn't cross through the heart and affect anything, you're fine. Other things I would improve. I don't understand the whole virus thing, honestly. It makes no sense. I mean, again, this is future science. Special viruses kill you specially.
I feel like the let's extract the virus was just a way to make it different than let's give the antidote.
Yes, that makes it a little different. It's a little more gimmicky, and I was able to bring in The Rock's family because let's face it,
because a car mechanic can fix your dialysis machine.
He was a very shady car mechanic.
He
was working underground with his dad, who Hobbs turned in because they were running a drug smuggling thing and a car stealing thing and all that stuff. So he's very smart in the world of underground technology. But the whole dialysis machine makes no sense at all. Like, I don't know how you fix that. You can have her hooked up to a machine and leave her there while they fight around. But they don't want to make her the damsel in distress. I mean, that was the biggest thing about this, is they wanted to make her a very strong character, and I get why they want her to fight and all that stuff. But you can't really fight if your blood is not part of your body.
Yeah, if your blood's on vacation, you're tired.
You're tired, you're not thinking right, you're going to get punched a lot more. You won't have the strength necessary to do a sleeper hold on someone else.
I do have to say that this was probably the pinnacle of Helen Mirren's career.
I can't believe she just randomly showed up.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Reynolds, too. I mean, stabbing someone with a brick, impossible. There's no way you can... I mean, you can embed a brick into someone. That is very possible.
But it's not a stab.
It's not a stab. Because a stab essentially means using a sharp pointing thing to put into someone else, right? You can't stab someone with a brick, but you can definitely blunt force someone hard enough. Like, blunt things can definitely enter your body.
Potatoes.
I've not seen. I've seen other things like blunt pipes and whatnot, but not a brick yet. I don't want to say never or impossible because
you work tonight.
So who knows what I'm going to see tonight. I saw a lot of weird stuff the other night, but we'll see what we see tonight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lots of explosions. Oh, all the explosions. Like, yeah. All of them should be concussed of some sort. Like hearing concussion or stunned or something like that.
They did mention that.
They did it with Vanessa Kirby a little bit.
They did with Vanessa Kirby, but they also mentioned it as when they were going through the different Rolling Stones related jobs that they did. Yes. They talked about how one of them led to hearing loss.
Yeah. I mean, that part, I'm glad they mentioned on that, but there were so many big explosions. Despite how slow they were, a lot of them should have been stunned, and at least one person got stunned. Unfortunately, it was Vanessa Kirby. Right. And like, if it's that much force that it made someone fly, that machine should have broke too. The thing that was on her back. Yep. That is the most durable dialysis machine ever.
It's because it was a really good iPad. That's why you put a case on your iPad.
True. I mean, I should mention, we do have other things that filters your blood or makes your blood go out of your body for a little bit that is in portable size, like the ECMO thing that we talked about before. It's actually the size of like a slightly bigger laptop, and we actually use that on the field now in cardiac arrest and whatnot to give people a chance. So the technology kind of is there, but it's not quite at the level that you see on there. I should kind of go back and fix myself on that part.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else we want to add on Hobbs and Shaw? I'm looking. Other than that, it's great.
It is great. Oh, the mind is not the strongest muscle. That is the most pet peeve thing I ever hear. It is not a muscle. It's a bundle of nerves. It does not contract. There's no muscle. It cannot lift anything. Oh. The strongest muscle is probably your heart, just based on endurance. Pound for pound, I think your tongue is also one of the strongest muscles in your body.
I mean, the heart is the strongest muscle, is just as motivating as the mind is the strongest muscle. And fits with the theme of this movie.
And actually real.
Yeah.
Because I guess a good way to simulate it is take a tennis ball and keep squeezing it and see how long it can go before you get tired. Your heart doesn't stop doing that.
Right.
So that tells you your heart's very strong. But I think pound for pound, your tongue is also very strong because it can like lift and all that other stuff too. Mm-hmm. So it's a really weird fact that I learned, but I think that still holds true.
Yeah, I heard that as well, but obviously not in a medical related situation.
I mean, that could also work for this too, because what do you call it? Hobbs is a big talker, so saying his tongue is the strongest muscle.
There we go.
I mean, that would impress Vanessa Kirby too in story as well with this one. So that would work just as well.
All right, so we will be back next week with more discussions of bad medicine. If you're interested in reaching out to us, we're on social media pretty much everywhere at Hi Everybody MD, and you can check our website hieverybody.libsyn.com to find out how to record your own intro.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Thanks, folks. We will talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Hi Everybody, a Bad Medicine podcast is hosted by Dr. Jackson Vane and me, Johnny Kolosinski. Our intro this week came from Maddie and Austin from the Will This Be on the Test podcast. You can find them on Facebook and Twitter at OnTheTestPod, or visit anchor.fm/WillThisBeOnTheTest.